Thank you for joining us on this wonderful episode of Legal Angle with Emmanuel the Law Olawale. I have a special guest with me today, one that I can call a kindred spirit. We're going to be talking about money, workout, body, and the mind. His name is Eszylfie Taylor. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
And he's the president and founder of Taylor Insurance and Financial Services in California, I believe.
Yes.
Yes. And today we're going to be talking about balancing money, body, and mind. Right. Can you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. As you'd mentioned in my bio, I've been a financial advisor for nearly 22 years. Born and raised here in Southern California. I have a interesting heritage, lineage. My father is from Ghana, West Africa, and my mother's American. But I grew up here in Southern California, and you know, like a lot, had a lot of opportunities growing up here to go to the good schools and have a, great start, great upbringing. But the things that I've accomplished, professionally thus far, really come from just determination and and grit, and so one of the things I typically tell people is I'm arguably the biggest failure you've ever met in your life, right? Every way you can mess up, fall down, stumble, face calamity. I think I've gone through it, at least once, but I say I don't believe in winning and losing. I believe in winning and learning, right? And getting better, and so I'm here in this journey, in life, and just trying to be the best man and best resource I can to others.
Hmm. Thank you. You have a unique name. It's actually a Ghanaian name, which means son of God. What is it like to have such a unique name when it comes to the meaning, the spelling, and even the pronunciation?
Yeah, as a child, it wasn't the funnest name to have a Z in your name, right? So the learning cursive was a challenge, but I've come to really appreciate the name. Eszylfie. It's not only a Ghanaian name, it's a family name. It's my father's name, my grandfather's name, and my father decided to spell it a little bit different to add some flair. But I think that's me, right? I was raised to be the best or among the best and to be set apart. And with a name, Eszylfie, that means son of God, right? The expectations were set pretty high from the jump.
Yeah. And, especially in the African culture, name is everything. African tends to name children according to what they are going through or what they want the life of the child to be. For someone to give you a unique name like that, called you son of God, is unique in spelling, is unique in pronunciation. It seems your parents were setting the groundwork for you to be a unique individual, different from every person. And your uniqueness is meant to be strength, not a unique kind of weakness. What do you think about being given that uniqueness from birth? Was it a
Yeah.
burden or did you find it challenging when you were growing up?
I grew up with a high level of expectation. I think, again, most Africans can appreciate you put four West Africans in a room, three of them have some kind of postgraduate degree, right? So being successful, doing well in school, having a great career, I think, we're all expectations of me. I don't even know that anyone in my family was really happy when I graduated high school or graduated college and started my career. It was more of an expectation. I think I've taken that. I affectionately call it the sickness, right? The sickness to continue to grow and be better and change the world. And I think I've even surprised my parents by some of the things that I'm doing and my mindset. And I'll joke with my father sometimes. He's like, "Man, you're doing so much. Like, slow down." And I'm like, "You created the monster, right? Like, you unleashed the beast. Now you got to get out of the way." So, I definitely think, as a young boy to this day, again, my parents have always held me in the highest regard and expected me to do a lot and to be a lot and be great. And I feel like, that I'm doing my best to fulfill that expectation.
Yeah, I'm sure they're proud of you. And Yes. What was it like growing up in such a home? You have a Ghanaian father who has a double PhD. You have a mother who, also works for Social Security. So you have parents who are already established. And within the Black community, I mean, especially in the United States, when one generation makes it, graduate at college, the expectation on the next generation is even higher. What was it like growing up in such an environment?
Yeah, I mean, I think, like I said, the bar was set high. I mean, doing well in school, going to college, getting a degree, none of those things were really ever, they weren't even like choices, right? They were like, this is what you're gonna do, right? And so I never grew up thinking that I could do anything other than that. I'd say where I've picked up where my parents left off is, my parents were employees, right? They worked for other people and they did well and they did their best to provide. But I have a different path. That I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a business owner, right? I write the script. And I think even truthfully, it was nerve wracking for them. Even my dad, when I started my career, and he's like, "Oh, don't do that. Go work for someone else, get a paycheck, and have some stability." And for me, I'm like, how could I ever go wrong betting on me, right? And I didn't quite know how I was going to be successful, what the path would look like. I certainly didn't have a mentor holding my hand. I had to figure it out on my own. But I believed in myself, and I believed in the greatness of this country, and that you can rewrite your stars, right? This is a country where your dad can be a janitor and your mom could be a school teacher and you could become a multimillionaire, right? Like you can, a lot of places in the world, right, where you're born is where you stay. and
Exactly.
and 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 I've pushed and grown and worked and exceeded, that I think the greatest expectations of my parents had. And then now the onus is on me as a father with my three daughters coming behind me, right? Setting the foundation for them to be better than me. Right. And they know, right? If you were interviewing my daughters and ask them, what do you have to do with what your father leaves you? They tell you, we got to make it 10 times bigger. And
Hmm.
then they know that their children got to make it 10 times bigger than that. Right. So it doesn't stop with me. It doesn't stop with them. It's just this, generational, wealth, and again, high level of expectation I'm proud to see, be a part of, and hopefully impart that to my children as well.
Thank you. And how did you get into financial advising?
I wish, Manuel, that I could say like I had this tremendous insight and I knew that this was the wave of the future and there's a great need for people, especially that look like me, and to be in this business, but I didn't. Coming out of college, 22 years old, I want to be a millionaire by the time I was 25. That was like what I said, right? And I'm like, okay, 3 years, 22 to 25, why not, right? I didn't know how I was going to do it, how to make money. I never had really made much any money. I had a couple, summer jobs when I was in college, but I never really had a career. And I'm going to some job fairs at my school, and I'm talking to the different corporate attendees there, and one job's offering 35,000, another one's offering 38, another one's 40, another one's 37, and I'm doing the math like, man, I don't know. I could get to a million, if I'm making 35 grand a year. And I remember I had one job at a bank in the summer when I was like 19, making like the equivalent to 50 grand a year. And I was like, why would I make less money coming out of college than I made when I was 19? Right. And so I was like, there's got to be a different way. And by chance, my econ professor introduced me to one of the companies that was at the fair, financial services company, and that's how I got introduced to the business. I didn't know anything. Even hear the term financial advisor, like what does that really even mean? Like what do you actually do? Like I didn't know, right? I knew that these guys wear suits and ties and they were in a nice building downtown, and I figured, like why not?
Wow, what a what an inspiring story. How did you get into yoga?
Yeah, so I grew up an athlete. My father being from Ghana, unfortunately, he never. We weren't big Laker fans or Dodgers or anything like that. He, sports. If it wasn't, soccer or track, he didn't even really care. And I found my own way in love of sports, just watching, through the 80s and 90s, the 49ers and Joe Montana and Jerry Rice and Steve Young and Showtime Lakers, Magic Johnson and Chicago Bulls, Michael Jordan. And so I just created an affinity for sports myself, and really being what you call a latchkey kid, where my mom was working till 6 o'clock every day. That was what I did after school. I'd go to school and then I play sports and I ended up turning that into a pretty successful career. I was a four-sport letterman in high school. I played football, basketball, baseball, ran track. I went on to play basketball in college, and after college, right, I just kept playing, and I was like, I know Father Time's undefeated. I know that I'm not going to be able to play this game forever. I need to find something that will give me some ability to compete, right? That's not so physical, and that's what actually brought me to the game of golf. So I started playing golf in my early 20s, and but again, all the years of playing sports, my hips are hurting and my back's hurting, and I'm getting worked on. And one of my best friends was a massage therapist, and she's like, "Man, you got to try yoga." I'm like, "No way, I'm not doing yoga. Like, yoga's for girls. Like, just look at me, I'm an athlete. Like, no way." And she's like, "Man, try it, try it, try it." So it literally took her years to like poke at me. And I'm like, fine. Like one day I'm like, I'll go to your yoga. So I go to yoga and I come out and I'm like, wow, like, oh man, I've never felt like this before in my life. Like, when do you ever stretch for an hour? Like, we just don't. Right. And it was hot yoga. And so it's the heat, the detoxification and the stretching. And I was like, man, now the interesting thing about it is I didn't actually enjoy being in the studio. Like I hated it. I was, I'm a mover, I'm a talker. So to like be still for 90 minutes was like, like was very challenging for me. But I did feel the health benefits of it. And then through that experience and finding different yoga studios and different sequencing and different types of classes, I just really fell in love with it. So I was a yoga, been practicing yoga for probably the better part of 15 years now, and been teaching yoga the last five.
Wow, that's very impressive. So, how was the transition for you having to? Because when you get into yoga, obviously being an athlete for years, lifting weights and doing all other stuff, your body will be stiff. How were you able to transition from that stiff body into one that is malleable, bendable, and flexible?
Yeah, I think naturally, one, we all have, different body compositions and strengths and weaknesses. And that's the thing about yoga, right? Like, I have some advantages because of strength, right? Men in general, right? So there's certain postures that will be easier for me because I'm strong. But women typically are going to be more flexible, right? And so there's maybe some handstand inversion that I got the first time I tried it because I'm strong, right? Whereas there's a hip opener that I've been working on for 10 years and I still can't get it, right? Whereas a woman might come in and go, oh, like this, and do the first time. And I'm like, like I've been working on this, right? But at the end of the day, it's not a competition. It's not me being better than you or worse than you. We're just different, and I think, as I look at what I'm able to do now, right? Like I'm 44 years old, right? The true consummate example of reverse aging, right? I'm Benjamin Button reincarnated, and right now with the health and wellness and yoga and change of diet, I mean, I'm probably in the best shape of my life, right? I'm in better shape now as a 44-year-old man than I was as a collegiate athlete, just because, yoga and eating right and my mindset and everything, and so it's been such a blessing to my life, calmed me a great deal, given me balance and perspective for sure.
Thank you. So, what does it mean to you to have a balance between the body, the mind, and your bank account money?
Yeah, so mind, body, money is a way of life, and we need to master those three areas in that order. Mind first. Those that think they can do something and those that think they cannot do something are both usually right. So that's the first thing. Mind has to be right. Your body, health and wellness. Nobody was ever on their deathbed wishing they had more money, right? So we have one. That's one thing my father used to tell me as a kid. You have one body, you got to take care of it, right? You have to take care of it, and then obviously your money. Money is not, the end all, right? It's certainly a tool, and you need to understand it, right? We were oftentimes thrust into life and asked to make decisions on about investments and insurance and real estate and all these things, yet never really given a rule book on how these things work, right? So for me, and my whole mantra is how I run my planning practice, is how I do everything, isn't to tell people really what to do, but to enlighten them, educate them, and simply tell them how things work, right? And when you understand how things work, when you understand what opportunities are available to you, then do with that information as you see fit, right? But when you know better, then you can do better.
Hmm. Thank you. So, what does it mean when you say taking care of the mind? Are you talking about mental health? Are you talking about what people are allowed to come into their space? How can people take care of the mind?
It starts again, mindset. One of the things, even when you asked me how I was doing at the onset when we first were getting introduced, I said it's the best day of my life. It's the mindset, right? And that doesn't mean that everything goes my way every day. It certainly doesn't. But I'm approaching everything with a positive demeanor. Perspective is not the truth. It's simply what you see. And if you don't like what you see, then change it. And if you can't change it, then change the way you think about it. So my question for you, Emmanuel, does a rose bush have thorns or does a thorn bush have roses? Perspective. Do I want to focus on the ugly part, on the part that hurts me, or do I want to focus on the beauty and the fragrance? It's a choice. And so for me, I just choose to think of things positively. We've all had trials and tribulations in our lives, and it's not a better or worse thing. We all have our own journeys, right? But we've gotten past those things, right? You're here today, so you've gotten past whatever was going on in your life. You've gotten past it, and you made it here to this day, right? And I'm sure every listener can attest to that. Something that you went through at some point in your life was difficult. You didn't think you were going to make it through, and you did. And there was value in that. Whether you got that promotion, whether you made that new friend, and sometimes, right? Sometimes in storms, when the stormy things are revealed, right? Sometimes storms don't come to destroy us. Sometimes they come to clear our paths. So even in the face of calamity, you can see, who's really with me? Who's really my friend? What family really cares about me? Who really supports me, right? And then there's value. So moving forward, you know who's with you and know who's not with you, and you know where you stand. So I just choose to look at every situation in my life, both the positive ones and the negative ones, as learning experiences.
Thank you. So it means that you have to reframe. So you try to turn all this positive, negative energy into something positive. So even when you fail, you don't see it as failure. It's a learning process. You can only
Yeah,
fail
like
unless you decide to fail backward.
yeah, like it's if something doesn't go my way, then I say it's not for me. One of the most powerful things that I've been able to master that helps me do that I would share with the listeners is I've learned to detach myself from outcomes, and I focus solely on process. Have I done what is required of me? And if I've done what is required of me, if I've worked as hard as I can and prepared as much as I can, then I'm going to let the outcome go. You cannot be upset about the results you didn't get from the work you didn't do.
Hmm.
So, so if you've done the work, if you've prepared, right? Because again, how many of us have worked for something, we've earned something, we deserve something, and it not happened? It's life. We're not going to get everything we want, everything that we deserve, right? Right? But if you can say, I did what was required of me and it didn't work out, then move on, because that means there's a bigger blessing. There's a different purpose that I believe God has that in your life, and you just need to be ready. Things happen for a reason in their perfect timing, not necessarily your timing or my timing, but in the perfect timing.
Might be. What a way to look at life. So in that way too, you're not disappointed even when things don't happen the way you want it. But then to people who have been trying so hard to attain success and they haven't been able to, how do you think they'll be able to reframe that? And it's taking longer than expected. They're putting in the work, they're doing everything that they need to do, but still it's like running on a treadmill. You're exerting energy, but you're not really moving. But you're burning.
Well, yeah, I say, I mean, number one, you figured out all the ways not to do it, right? If you've tried all this time and years and things haven't worked out, you figured out ways not to do it. The one thing that I'd say, and I would encourage every listener, especially for somebody who's an entrepreneur, don't reinvent the wheel. There's somebody doing what you want to do right now. There's somebody living the lifestyle you want to live right now. And what I've found is typically successful people are always open to talk and be mentors and share, right? So, and this is one of the biggest challenges I had as a young man in starting my career is I didn't want anyone to say they made me. I didn't want anyone to say that they could take credit. I'm just going to do this on my own. And how foolish was that, right? Oh, if I'm open for all the help and insights and doors open I could take, right? And so that's what I'd say. Like if I'm saying, hey, I want to get into real estate, could I go figure out real estate and become a real estate mogul on my own? I guess. But why wouldn't I go to somebody who's already done? Hey, I see that you have $30 million worth of real estate and built your company. How'd you do it? Right? And if you had to do it again, what would you do different? What'd you do right? And pick their brain. Now, again, there's two keys to success that I say. Number one, you have to believe. This goes right back to mine, right? But then the second piece, you got to do the work. So when you can surround yourself with people that are doing the things and living the life you want to live, and you can get that information from them, and then you believe in yourself, right? And then do the work, you give yourself an opportunity. But I think the reason that most people fail in their businesses is not so much even personal conviction, but it's execution. They did not follow through on the process, and or right, they did not surround themselves or get tutelage or coaching from people who've already been down the road. I even in my core business, as a financial advisor, I have a system called the Taylor method. I train financial advisors globally, right? I've got sales language, ebook, uh, um, video series, audio series, all online for other financial advisors to subscribe to learn my best practices, right? Why wouldn't you want to learn from somebody who came in this business and made 50 grand their first year in business and now is a multimillionaire in this business? Why wouldn't you want to learn from them, right? And it's not that I did everything right, because I didn't, right? And I'm sharing, these are the things I did right. These are the things I did poorly. These are the things I would never do again. These are the things I say every day, right? Now, ultimately, you still got to do the work, but it's sure nice to know what the path looks like.
Hmm. Yes. Finding a good mentor, reading books, reaching out to people who have succeeded to figure out ways how to do this. That's how you can get things right. And
Mm-hmm,
that would be a path to your financial journey and success.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
At some point in your life, even after you've made your millions, you said you became unhappy. And that was a point where you decide to turn things around. To a lot of people who have never made millions and who doesn't have a sizable bank account, they wouldn't understand what it means to have money and not be happy when money is not the issue. Can you elaborate?
Yeah, you bring up a very good point. I think most people equate unhappiness in life to saying, I don't have enough money. And I'm not happy because I don't live in this type of house, or I'm not happy because I don't have this type of car, or I'm not happy because I can't wear these types of clothes. There's something called the happiness quotient. When this study was done, I believe the number was $73,000 a year. If you index for inflation, it's something like 93,000 a year now. But basically, the idea is once you're making more than $93,000 a year, making more money won't make you any happier, right? Because at that level, you can afford food, clothing, shelter, and transportation. Sure, if you had more money because you live in a nicer house and eat better food, I guess, sure. But happier? No, not happier. And so what you'll find is, and again, if you look at any multimillionaire, billionaire, what have you, business mogul, even athletes, is you'll find that there's a lot of philanthropy typically they're doing, and there's a lot of outreach that they're doing, right? Because they realize, like, I sought so hard to make all this money, and now what, right? And like, oh no, Eszylfie, you don't understand. If I had that house in the hills, if you were a miserable, nasty person, and I gave you $10 million right now, you'd be a miserable, nasty person with $10 million, right? I was visiting a client who was here in town from Atlanta, and he was staying in these luxury condos in Century City outside of Beverly Hills. And as we were walking into the complex, he's like, man, this place is beautiful, right? I'm like, yeah, this place is great. And he goes, did you hear what happened here a few weeks ago? And I was like, no. And he said, this billionaire guy jumped off the roof and killed himself, right? And that is, if that's not evident of what we're talking about, what within reason could this person not have purchased, right? Could have bought any house, any car, any woman, anything he wanted, right? Except happiness. And so that is what I tell people. And then again, that's why I say mind, body, then money. It's not money, body, mind. It's not money, mind, body. It's mind, body, money. If I lost everything today, if my house was gone and my business is shut down, I would be a millionaire again in 12 months. Because I understand, one, my mind's strong, and I have a strong body, and I understand how I need to think and what I physically need to do to come back, right? And so my attachment to money is not one of scarcity. My attachment to money is, oh, I need to hoard it and make it and keep it because I have money to be a blessing. I have money to provide to my family and friends and community. I have money to consume, right? How many cars could I drive? How many shirts could I have, right? How many shoes could I have? It's about helping and connecting, with other people. And so I think that is it. You make a good point. Oh, I don't have money, so I don't know what Eszylfie's talking about. If I had $1 million, I'd be happy, but you wouldn't. And for me, I feel blessed to have achieved a level of success early enough in life to then still have time to right the ship. So many of us work our entire careers seeking that dollar amount, and thinking that's going to make us happy. And then when you get it, like what happened to me, you get it, and you're like, uh-oh, wait a minute, like this is it. Like, I'm here, and now what, right? It's about connectivity and relationships. Money is fleeting.
Yeah. So without a strong mind, it's either hard to keep the money or even to keep the body. So the first thing you need is a strong mindset, positive mindset, never
Yes,
fail
yes,
mindset. So that way,
yes.
with that kind of mindset, it transcends to the body, then it transcends to your finances.
Hmm.
Otherwise, you can have money without the sound mind. You can end up, anything can happen without the body, which is the health. Money means nothing without good health.
Yeah, sure, right. I'm worth $1 billion, but I've got cancer. Okay, cancer doesn't care what your balance sheet looks like, right? You have to be, and it's so important. There's something that I believe and that I was reading and so powerful. And your diet isn't only what you eat. Your diet is what you watch, it's what you listen to, it's who you hang around, right? And all these things. And again, this just speaks to mind and positivity and good vibrations and putting positivity around your life, surrounding yourself with people that feed the spirit, not just need and drain you, right? And then your body, I move my body. Typically, I start my day and end my day moving my body, right? How could I own 8 companies and work 14, 15-hour days and travel around the world and do all these things if I didn't have health and energy, right? So I couldn't, right? I couldn't do those things. And then the byproduct of a strong mind, the byproduct of a healthy body is that then I can go out and make money.
Thank you. Yes, now let's talk about even the mindset about money. A lot of people wants to be rich. A lot of people want to have money. But then when it comes to their mindset about money, it doesn't align. For instance, people talk about, I want to make millions, but then they don't do anything to make those millions. And they talk about, I want to be rich. But then when it comes to rich people they know online, they're always waiting for those rich people to fail. How do you balance those kind of mindset and seeking wealth?
Yeah, I think, and look, I'm a capitalist at heart. I love business. I love, being able to enjoy the fruits of your labor. I mean, that's why I'm here. I think I think you bring up a good point. You have to do the work, right? It'd be like if I sat here and said, I want to get in shape. I want to lose 20 pounds, right? I want to lose 20 pounds. You said, well, alrighty, Sophie, well, you going to the gym? Nope. You gonna eat well? Mhm. Right? Like, so how's it gonna happen? Right? So like you gotta actually act, right? You gotta do something. And that's the thing. A lot of people is lip service, talk, 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 talk. They talk about it, but you need to be about it, right? That's so important. And then when it comes to money and understanding, it's simply a tool. It's a tool for you, obviously, to live and provide for yourself and your family. But I think we're here to help other people and be a blessing to other people. I love the adage, a candle loses nothing by lighting another candle, right? When you share, when you give, when you connect with someone else, what do you lose? You don't lose anything, right? And so all due respect to some of these, the Warren Buffetts of the world and Jeff Bezos's and things that have created these monstrous companies. And I know they do a lot of, you know, good stuff, but it's like, hey guys, let's do even more, right? Like you can't spend $100 billion. Like, I'm sorry, you know what I mean? Like, let's change the world, let's impact. And that's my thing, right? Like I'm gonna be a billionaire, right? That's where I'm going. And not because I need $1 billion to be happy or I need $1 billion to prove something. And maybe it's proving something to myself, like I can do it. But for me, it really comes down to one word, and that comes down to impact, right? I want to impact people's lives. I want to shake up the world. I want to enrich people's lives. Like that's why I'm here. Like I don't need, knock on wood, I don't need any more stuff, right? For me, it's about helping people and sharing.
Thank you. And what's the correlation between living a healthy lifestyle, working out, getting right, minding your body, and financial wellness?
How you do some things is how you do everything. If you don't care for your finances, right, and budget and plan, how could you care for your body and health? How you do some things is how you do everything, right? Generally speaking, you won't find chaos in one area of your life and then another. As an advisor for 20 some odd years, I can't tell you how many times I've literally grown up with people that maybe had household income 80, 90 grand a year that went to 150 to 250 to 400 and 500,000, right? And they're crying poor the whole time. They were crying poor when they made 80 grand a year. They're crying poor when they made a $500,000 a year. And I'm telling you, man, you guys realize you're making like 5, 6 times more money now than you did when I first met you, but you're saying the same things. Because if you don't save when you make 50 grand a year, you won't save when you make 200 grand a year, you won't save when you make $1 million a year. How you do some things is how you do everything. So how do you know that I'm going to be business or disciplined in business and honor my word? Because it's how I work out. I do yoga, I move my body every single day, right? When I eat and when I'm putting in my body, I'm mindful of every single thing I put in my body, right? So I'm unwavering in that respect, right? So just a great level of discipline. So I mean, if you talk to anybody that knew me growing up and you gave them an account on where I am today, I don't know that a whole lot of people would be surprised because I've always been a hard worker. I've always been disciplined. I've always had this mind to improve, right? And so how you do some things is how you do everything. So I would tell people, and this is something I tell my daughters, you go 100% in every single thing you do. If you touch it, you go 100% at it, right? And if you don't want it, you don't like it, you're not going to go 100%, don't touch it, right? And so that's going to be the same for your school, for your career, right? With friends, everything you do, 100% of nothing.
Thank you. So the discipline of disciplining your body, working out, eating right, doing everything right to have a perfect, not perfect, good health, a healthy lifestyle also bleeds into other areas of life, including money, relationship, and
Yeah,
finance.
it's all the synergies are there, right? Like it's we've got Super Bowl here in LA this week, right? And so there's so many events, and I was out late last night and I had a choice. I could have said, "Hey, I was out late. I'm gonna sleep in," right? But I'm gonna get up. I'm gonna move my body. I'm gonna honor that commitment. Same thing. I get my paycheck. I mean, I guess I could set some money aside or invest it or save it, but those new shoes, I really want them, right? Like it's just that's what I say. How you do some things, how you do everything. Like I know that there's an easier way or a seemingly easier way, or I can just cheat this one time, right? But if you do it one time, then you'll do it 2 times, you do it 10 times, right? Like just stay the course. Being rich is hard. Being poor is hard. Choose your hard. Being healthy and in shape is hard. Being unhealthy and out of shape is hard. Choose your hard. Being married is hard. Getting divorced is hard. Choose your hard. So, point being is no matter what we're doing in our lives, there's going to be challenges, there's going to be struggles, right? But if I'm going to struggle, then I want to win, right? It's like I draw an analogy again. We got Super Bowl coming. You got a wide receiver, game of football, running down the field. Quarterback rears back to throw him the ball. Wide receiver goes up to catch the ball. What does he see out of the corner of his eye? He sees that defensive back coming, right? Now that wide receiver has a choice. He can go up and catch the ball, or he can short arm it and protect himself. Either way, what's going to happen? Either way, he's going to get hit, right? Either way, he's going to get hit. So my charge to the listeners today is, if you're going to deal with the struggles of balancing family and business and your mind and your body and money and all these things you're going to do, right, that you have to experience in life, catch the ball. Right? If it's going to be hard, you're going to get hit anyway. You might as well make it all worthwhile.
Thank you. What does it mean to be financially successful? What does financial success mean?
Financial success is all relative. It's going to mean something different to every person. I define retirement or financial success at the point at which you can remove the have tos from the equation. The point at which you're doing things in life because you want to do them, not because you have to do them. Most people have absolutely no idea how much money they need to have saved to retire comfortably to hit that number. No idea, right? So your listeners in luck, I'm going to tell you. It's so important to know, right? Because if you aim at nothing, you'll hit it with amazing accuracy. We got to know, right? So quite simply, take the amount of money you want to retire on an annual basis, whatever that is. You still, if I had 100,000 or 200,000 or 500,000 dollars a year, whatever your number is, take whatever number that is, your annual target revenue in retirement, and multiply that by 20. Multiply that by 20. That's your target retirement savings number. So, for example, if I said, hey, I need $100,000 a year in retirement to be comfortable, 100,000 times 20, $2 million. That's my number. Why? Because a 5% payout rate on $2 million would then generate $100,000 a year of income in retirement. That's why that's my number. So the challenge is, Emmanuel, is that so many people go into retirement not knowing what their number is, and maybe they're puffing their chest out. Hey, I grew $1 million in my 401k. Look at me. But your run rate's 20 grand a month, right? So you're spending almost $250,000 a year from an account that has $1 million in it. I mean, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I think in 4 or 5 years, that money's going to be gone, right? So to say, oh, if I make $1 million and save $1 million, I'm financially secure. If I get $5 million, I'm financially secure. Not really, right? Do you have sufficient assets and savings and investments for your particular situation? I've got some clients, Emmanuel, if you gave them 50 grand a year of supplemental income retirement, they're good. I got some clients that need 50 grand a month, right? Doesn't make them better or worse. It's just different, right? So when you know what your number is, and then more importantly, save and invest and build a plan to get to that number, then you'll be on the right track.
Thank you. Most people want to be financially successful, but have no idea even what that means. Is there a blueprint to financial success?
Again, it's relative. It's one of the reasons I have a book out called Ask the Experts. It's on Amazon. It's why I shot this season. Mind, Body, Money is a reality series, and it's I'm shopping it to networks right now to get picked up on a major platform. I got an app on the App Store, also Mind, Body, Money, and like I said, my whole platform, everything I do is about inspiration and education, right? Two things that are important to me is I want to understand, or want rather people to understand, the what. This is what's out there. This is what's available to you, number one. And when you understand that, when you can grasp that, then more importantly to me is then the how, right? Okay, this is what's available. This is who I can be. Well, then how do I get there? What can I do, right? And so when I can say, here's how insurance works, or here's how investments work, and here's how taxes work, and here's how loans work, and you're educated, now you can make good decisions. I always say an educated client makes the best decisions, right? Because now you understand, okay, if I do this, this is the value that I get. Maybe these are some of the things I give up, but right? And so you don't. That's so important, right? Is so that I'm trying to provide a rule book or a manual to people on life and navigating some of these things, because again, you make some right choices, you get lucky, right? Hey, you could win, right? But you make some poor choices, it could be devastating, and you might not ever recover.
Hmm, thank you. So let's talk about some of the common sayings that people say about money. Some of them I don't want to give my opinion. I just want to know what your thoughts are based. So let's start with money cannot buy happiness.
Money cannot buy happiness. It can buy everything else though, right? So I think when you think of, okay, money is simply a tool. Money has nothing to do with the emotion. And again, there's some visceral feeling I think when you have money, because you could say I have some peace of mind, but I think it was Notorious B.I.G. that said it best. More money, more problems, right? Be careful what you ask for, you might get it, right? I mean, imagine my life now and saying, oh, wow, you own all these companies, all this stuff. Yeah, I have all these companies that got all these, you know, taxes and plans and employees and all this stuff to deal with. It's like, oh man, it's not maybe what you think. The grass isn't always greener, right? So money cannot buy happiness. I agree with that statement, but it is certainly a powerful tool.
Money cannot buy love.
Yeah, I agree with this too. I don't think money can buy love. I think money can buy ease, but interestingly enough, I believe ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship, right? Because love, it's almost like, again, depending on your spiritual beliefs, one of the things that I think most powerful if you're a believer in Christ in is this idea of free will, right? If I told you, Emmanuel, you're going to be my friend, and if you're not my friend, right, if you don't support me, I'm going to kick you out of your house and I'm going to make sure that you starve, you and your family starve, right? Well, then you're like, all righty, Sophie, fine, you're my friend. But do you really like me? Do we really have an affinity? No, that came through threat, right? And so the beauty of free will, the beauty of choice is that when people choose you, when people love you just based on connectivity, not because there's an ulterior motive, not because they're getting paid for it, not because they want something from you, then it's genuine, right? And I think that's one of the biggest challenges that people that have a lot of money have is because you don't know who's really there for you because they're there for you or they're there for you because they think they can get something from you.
Thank you. Money is the root of all evil.
This is one I don't agree with. I don't think money is the root of all evil. I think evil is the root of all evil, right? Again, biblical pasture, right? Passage rather. They would say what? It's easier for a
Oh,
camel to pass through the eye of a needle than a rich man to enter the gates of heaven, right? And that's because there's temptation, right? I even think about it. If you live paycheck to paycheck, you can't get into that much trouble, right? Like what comes in goes out, right? And so how many stories have we heard with some athlete or entertainer gets killed in a car crash because they're driving 180 miles an hour in their Lamborghini? Well, if you were making minimum wage, you would have never had that car and you would have never died in that plane crash. And so it's interesting that I think like more money creates more access, creates more opportunity, certainly, but then also the prospect of more liability because there's more things coming at you, more things you can get into that create issue. And I found that even in my own personal life, right? Just having resources just exposes you, to more. So again, I don't think money is the root of all evil, but I think that any intention or failure or lack in character that you have, money can certainly accentuate.
yeah. I believe the flip opposite can also be said about money is the root of all evil. Poverty itself, too, is the root of a lot of evil.
Hmm. Yeah, when you have scarcity and say, I don't have anything, I'm going to take it. Right? I mean, so many people out of here, these days are coming out of COVID and maybe not working or feeling depressed or away. And I don't know how it is in other parts of the country, but like there's a ton of like crime is up like some inordinate amount right now in LA just because people are like desperate, right? And so when people are desperate, they're scary.
More money, more problems.
Huh. Yep, I agree. More money, more problems. Got to move carefully, right? Yeah, I mean, I feel like if you're broke, nobody messes with you, right? Like somebody's like, oh, I'm gonna sue you. Like, man, like, well, what am I gonna get? I don't have anything, right? But you got money, your assets. Like, hey, I'm coming after this guy, right? And so, yeah, it's funny, right? Because my role, if you will, quote unquote, as a financial advisor, So many things I do in a day now have absolutely nothing to do with being a financial advisor, right? I'm talking about, expansion in my building and my real estate holdings. I'm talking about employees. I'm talking about conferences I got to do. I'm talking about marketing. I'm talking about all these things that have actually nothing to do with me sitting down with the client and building a financial plan. Hell, I've been doing this so long, I could build a financial plan for someone in 20 minutes, right? I've been doing it so long, but it's like, man, my day is now consumed with all these other things. And I say more money, more problems, because when you have more money, the stakes are bigger, right? And if you got $100 and you blow it, well, just blow $100, you can probably get that back pretty readily. You got $100 million and you blow it, again, not never gonna say never, but it would be very difficult to come back from that.
It's possible. Yeah. Because he that is down needs fear no fall. So when you're
Mm-hmm.
up,
Mm-hmm.
you fall harder.
Yep.
Money changes people's character.
Yeah, I don't necessarily believe this one. One thing, and this again, this is being a father of three daughters that obviously have privilege, right? No, but I always, of the school of thought that spoiled isn't what you get, it's how you act, right? Spoiled isn't what you get, it's how you act. Again, I don't think that money changes people's character. I think money sheds a light on people's character. Whatever you are, whatever your strengths are, whatever your weaknesses are, money will certainly bring to the forefront.
Thank you. That's what I believe too. I believe money don't change people. It amplifies whatever they've been before. The same thing with
Mm-hmm.
power. Power doesn't change people. It only amplifies who they've been. And talking about character, you have these positive character where you reframe things and where you respect yourself. And I believe that came to be when you have this deal with Bravo and they want you to do a reality show. And because you wouldn't demean yourself to be yelling at people to create drama and entertainment, you turned that down. What was that like for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's everything that glitters isn't gold, right? And it's certainly a big dream of mine to be on a large platform, to be on national TV, to share my story. And again, every network and every show has its format, and I was cast to be in a format that just wasn't in alignment with my core values, right? And again, I'm not a yeller, I'm not a screamer, I'm not a berater. And again, there's a lot of people that are, and that might be effective for them, but that's just not the way that I move. And that's certainly not the image and the message that I wanted to portray of a black professional man on television these days. I wanted, to do something different. And so, scary in the sense that you let a door close and will another opportunity come about? Maybe, maybe not. I didn't have any assurances, right? Again, I'm not even in the film business. I'm not in the TV business. I'm a advisor. I'm a business owner, right? And so, how blessed am I to have opportunities come my way that in almost every instance were just bigger and better, right, than what I had imagined. And I just believe, again, for me, I trust the process. I'm detached from outcomes. I trust the process. I do what's required of me, right? And even now, where I'm at right now, where I'm at with the Mind Body Money show and the app and everything, I am today where I thought I would have been literally 1 year ago. Like where I am today, like 1 year ago, I'm like I thought I would be here, but I'm here and it's perfect timing for a reason. For whatever reason, it wasn't supposed to be a year ago. It was supposed to be today. It's supposed to be today. So like, okay, I accept that. I embrace that and go from there.
Thank you. It's all about the core values. Hmm. It is selfish to accumulate money when there are starving people in the world.
Yeah, I don't know that that's right. I think you simply have a responsibility to help people in need. It's like, right, when you're flying in the airplane, they say if there's a drop in cabin pressure and the oxygen mask drops down, what do they tell you to do? Put your mask on first and then help the person next to you. And I think millionaires and multimillionaires and billionaires have responsibility to put their oxygen mask on. That's what you're doing, right? Because if you can't stand on your own 2 feet, you can't help anyone else. But once you're solid, once you're safe, yeah, reach back and go help somebody else. Bring somebody else up. 100%.
Thank you. So, how can someone build generational wealth?
Yeah, you're building generational wealth, right? I would say the road to walk a mile begins with a single step, right? So it starts with, investing. It starts with getting insurance. It starts with doing the estate plan. And I don't care if you could say $50 a month or it's 5,000 a month. You got to start somewhere and accumulate. And that's the cool thing about money. It's not just about how much you're saving, as much as how long is it growing and what rate of return is it earning. And what I found is even modest sums of money over a long period of time can create, an amount to a great deal, right? So it's just a matter of getting in there. I would tell people that if you don't know, or if you don't have the insights, then align yourself with an advisor, align yourself with someone who's lived a life and doing the things you want to do, and get in.
Oh, thank you. And is there a correlation between investment and building wealth?
100%. Because if you're not investing your money, you can't really build wealth, right? Because our human capital, your ability to get out and work, is finite, right? Even if you go, oh no, not me, Sophie, I'm hardworking, I'll work 7 days a week, I'll work 12-hour days. Okay, finite. While I'm sitting talking to you right now, I own an interest in an ice cream company. Someone in the world right now is at Target, is at Walmart eating my ice cream, right? While I'm talking to you right now, someone in the world is downloading one of my Taylor Method videos, right? Paying me for coaching, right? Why I want the show, why I have the app. Someone's going to be doing a fitness video or using the affirmation tool while I'm talking to you, paying me. A true business runs in spite of you, not because of you, right? So that's the idea of scale. That's the idea of leverage, and that's the beauty of being a business owner rather than an employee. An employee gets trades time for dollars, and unfortunately, you can't win that game. There's only so much time in a day.
Thank you. Yeah, I've heard someone define poverty as not the absence of money, but the absence or the lack of opportunities. And there are a lot of people who lack opportunities. How can people like that attain financial freedom?
Again, there's it's again, we're all dealt hands, and some of us certainly have easier starting hands, greater, easier, more illuminated paths than others. I mean, again, I could hardly say like, oh, I didn't grow up in some impoverished, gang infested area where I made it out, right? Like I grew up in, Southern California in, upper middle class household, right? And so, whether you come from an upbringing like mine, better than mine, worse than mine, again, doesn't really matter. It's not the cards you're dealt, it's how you play them. And you got to play them until the end, right? And so, again, if I'm saying, hey, I'm on the street right now, I'm in a minimum wage job. Okay, how can I go from $15 an hour to 20? How can I go from assistant manager to manager? How can I go from manager to operations? There's always a progression. And that's, again, the beautiful thing about, this country and the way that it's structured, is that there's always a way, right? And it might not be the way you're on. You might need to change course, but there is a way. And again, if you're like, but I don't know the way, I don't know how to do it, find somebody who's done it. And that's the beautiful thing with social media and internet today. They're not hard to find.
Hmm. Thank you. Yeah, while you were growing up, you grew up in a school where that was predominantly white, and your brother were the only black students, which made you unique. You have this unique name, you have this unique color, you have this uniqueness about you, even in that school. What was it like growing up in such an environment?
Yeah, I mean, I felt like, I that experience I had as a child made me feel comfortable in pretty much any situation, because being in private school, primarily white kids, but then still growing up in like AME, African Methodist Episcopal Church, right? I feel like, you know, I feel comfortable with white people, black people, Mexican people, Hispanic people. And again, being in Southern California, which is a melting pot, I feel like it served me well, right? Because I feel comfortable in any setting. I'm confident in any setting, and I don't feel less than. And I think some, in particular, African Americans and understandably so in other parts of the country, that have these not even self-imposed, these little barriers that are trying to block them or keep them down. I just didn't grow up with them. I didn't grow up with them. I don't say they didn't exist. If they did, I didn't see them, and I wasn't taught that they were there. So so I just keep pushing forward, right? And if anything, that's why I want to be out here. That's why I want to be a polarizing figure, so that some kid can say one day, or hell, some adult could say, "Man, he's doing it. I can do that." right? Because to be honest, the barrier to entry to be Eszylfie Taylor is a hell of a lot lower than to be LeBron James or to be Drake or Jay-Z or Patrick Mahomes or something, right? These are once in a lifetime generational talents, right? But there's millions of people in real estate in this country, millions of people in finance in this country, millions of people in law in this country, right? So the barrier to entry to be a professional and have a long-standing career and change your stars is far greater in the professional ranks than it is in entertainment or sports.
Yeah, thank you. And what is fatherhood like with Naya, Shay, and Zoe?
It's a blessing. I mean, one, being a father, and any father can attest to this, it changes you. You go from, I went from being number one on the depth chart to number four, right? I'm the least important person now. And then I think, again, having girls, right? Man, right? Girl dad, soften me and change who I am as a man and understanding that, I'm the first man they fall in love with. I'm the first man that they're modeling the behavior of a man after is a tremendous role and responsibility that I have, and one that I don't take lightly. And again, I'm doing my best to blaze a trail. I feel sorry for any guy who tries to date them because I'm setting the bar real high.
And what does it mean for you to be a husband, a
Yeah,
father?
I think it's my story is probably not too different than others. I was married before. Unfortunately, it didn't work out with the girl's mom, and now I'm in a new relationship, and now the girls have a bonus mom, right? And in a way, I don't know that this is ideal, but it's like my ex-wife is now remarried as well, and so now it's like rather than two loving parents, they get four, right? And rather than two sets of grandparents, they have four, and then again, as most parents can understand, with three girls with a slew of energy and all in different activities, it literally does take the four of us to corral everything around and get them to where they need to be. So again, out of calamity, out of heartache, out of hard times, we've risen through it and are better for it.
Thank you. Is there a correlation between balancing family life and financial freedom or financial wealth? I mean, financial health?
Yeah, I mean, pre-COVID, I was work, work, work. I mean, I would office hours, eyes open, eyes shut. I never took any break. I took breaks as a sign of weakness. I would never have taken middle of the day off to go ride bikes with my daughters or go get ice cream or go play basketball. I would just like, no, it's work hours. It's still light out. Like I could be doing something. I could be closing a deal. And what I found is that balance is a part that I didn't have in my life. To be honest, I just was one way, work, 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 work. And so now it's like balance. I can go. Just the other day, I was joking with a friend. Right, one of my twins just got braces, and I was ordered to go get her a smoothie and bring her lunch at school because she couldn't eat hard foods. And I'm like, it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm running to Starbucks and grocery stores and things like that. Like even that I wouldn't have felt guilty doing that, or I would have sent my assistant. But how am I able to build a relationship and affinity and respect and love with my daughter when she sees me there, or when I'm able to go to their basketball game or their volleyball match at 3 o'clock, right? I'm there, and these are times that we're not getting back. So I think balance is something that I did not do a good job of a good part of my life and professional career, and it's still a challenge for me. Like I said, I got the sickness. But so I'm going to the basketball game at 3. I might hop on a Zoom at 5, right, and go back to work. But I'll be there, right? I'll be at the game.
Uh, Thank you so much for coming onto Legal Angle. It's been a wonderful time talking to you.
I appreciate you for having me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And for those of you either watching us or listening to this on the podcast, we thank you for joining us. I hope you'll be able to use some of the wisdom shared in this. We've been talking for about an hour. I hope those nuggets of wisdom will be useful to you as you try to balance your mind, your body, and your bank account. Until next time, I wish you all good luck and stay healthy. Bye for now.